AskReddit posted by you, Suzel's Noodles. What do you regret finding out?
That my mother knew she had cancer a year before she told anyone, or rather, a year before she was diagnosed, after I literally forced her to see a doctor for her then extremely distended stomach. I was under the impression that we told each other absolutely everything because up until that point, we did. I found out the truth a month after she died when I'd requested all of her cancer-related paperwork from her oncologist.
Just how disgusting of a human being I was and am. When I was a kid, I knew nothing. My mom is a single mother and she didn't take proper care of me. I took showers once a week or less, I was messy, I was ugly, it was bad all around. Other kids called me names, avoided me, bullied me, I never knew why. Once I grew up I realized just how bad it actually was. Today I am aware of two things: where my childhood went wrong and that in 10 years I'll realize all the wrong things I am today. Edit. Well, this sure wasn't a comment I'd have expected to explode. I want to add some things here. My mother had her hands way too full. Our father died at the worst time possible. We were poor, she had my sister to push to faculty and me to elementary school. I don't blame her for what happened and things are different today. I don't feel shame or pity for what I went through. There were far worse things that happened to me. The thing is, when I look back sometimes I think I was happier when I wasn't old enough to understand. So please, don't pity me. Life is better than it was before and most importantly, now it's only in my hands.
My mother died in a car accident when I was 3. I found out from a newspaper article years later that it was her fault. She wasn't paying attention and crossed the yellow line and ended both her life and that of the person in the other car. Same happened to me, although it wasn't my mom, it was my grandpa. He died in 1955 and neither my dad or I ever knew the circumstances. Found out from old newspaper articles that he was drinking and driving. Although it wasn't illegal then or looked down upon as much, I hate this feeling of disappointment and I wish my dad hasn't found out either. Honestly, you have to remember the time. It'd be like talking on the phone and driving is seen now a definite impediment, but nothing horrible. We've been trained for over a generation to see drinking and driving as suicidally negligent. Not everyone in the past had that benefit.
I'm convinced my mother did the same thing. I haven't seen the paperwork, but both my father and sister were sick with cancer, sister 33 with 2 children under 4, at the time. My mother wasn't really herself, she had bouts of vomiting and the Christmas before she passed she had a terrible nosebleed that required multiple hospital visits. She went into hospital after being found unconscious after a fall and I was told she had numerous tumors in her midsection. Knowing her and the fact she was a nurse, I'm sure she kept all of this to herself to not upset my sister and father. My mother died 6 days after my father. She willed herself to the funeral mass and was dead 3 days later. Unfortunately my sister's cancer came back last November and she passed in May, leaving a 3- and 5-year-old. I couldn't be upset at her if she knew, as she was sacrificing herself for her family. Cancer doesn't care though. I'm sorry to hear about your mom, but I'm sure she was doing it to protect you. Sounds like you had a wonderful mother.